A warm welcome to all our friends that are keying in today for listening to this episode, for participating in this episode today. We are joined by close to 270 people in the webinar, and there's around 370 that are online right now across the various social modes. So, a warm welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to have you back. And we have a very, very important topic that most of you have talked to us about and have told us multiple times that this is the topic that we would like to pick up. And we all know the fact that, we are close to 6 crore enterprises, and we all work towards the nation's economy, driving industrial growth, employment, exports. In spite of this pivotal role, a lot of us face significant challenges in aligning with the quality standards that are set by the government, by the BIS, and the certification process, while necessary, is often complex and difficult for micro and small enterprises. Majority of us lack clarity on which standards apply to which of our businesses, what is the process to certification. Sometimes it's extremely expensive, confusing, also involves a lot of costly consultants at times. There could be also multiple rejections, long delays, and so on and so forth. We all are aware about all the problem areas. There's also a significant information gap. Most MSMEs often discover the need primarily for certification only when they fail to enter markets or get market rejection or get legal notices or disqualifications from tenders and so on. So today's stakeholder consultation on the quality standard, certification and compliance is primarily initiated to create a platform where we can have meaningful dialogue and collective problem solving. So we are today inviting our guests that have joined us today specifically, so that we are able to make it easy for all of us to understand the entire process and take it forward. So I'd like to introduce all our guests one by one. We are going to be joined by Mr. Amit Nanda. Mr. Amit Nanda, welcome. Welcome, Mr. Nanda.
Thanks, Vinod.
Such a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here and to be speaking with on your forum and engaging with sellers and other relevant partners on this. Look
Excellent.
forward to an interesting discussion.
Welcome, sir. So we have also Mr. Krishna Barad. Welcome, sir. Such a pleasure to have you again.
Good afternoon and pleasure to connect you back, Vinodji. Yeah.
Pleasure. Krishna is Director Global Trade and Indirect Tax at EY. So he's been very useful to us in a lot of situations when we are talking about, understanding the compliance scenario in India. We are also joined by Shri Anil Johari. I am just going to invite him on board. Welcome, Anilji.
Good
Such
afternoon.
a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me. I'm pretty curious. This is my first time on your platform. And in your opening remarks, you have touched so many subjects that one hour webinar would be insufficient. I'm sure we'll meet again. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we are extremely thankful for you taking time out and joining us here today. Let me update the number. We are joined by 2,547 MSMEs online, apart from the webinar, which is as of now 310 people that are there in the webinar. So I'm going to continue and invite our friends today. I mean, important speakers that have joined us. We are joined by Shreya. Shreya, welcome, Shreya.
Hi.
I was just waiting for you. Finally, you're here. So I was just
Actually, I
thinking for
was
a minute.
not. Yeah, there was some technical issue, but happy to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for joining in. We are also joined in by some of our important members and MSMEs that are part of the entire process, that have gone through the entire BIS process and others. So I am Sri Ravi ji.
Hi everyone. Hi Vinodji. Thank you for inviting me and pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all our sides. Thank you for taking time off. It's rarely that we get to see stalwarts like you coming on platforms like these, which is extremely important for all of us. And thank you for spending time today.
Thank you.
We're also joined by Suraj. I'm just trying to locate him.
Hi, sir. Thank you for inviting
Welcome,
me.
welcome, Suraj. Thank you for joining us. We also have Vishal.
Hello,
So,
Mr.
warm
Vinod.
welcome.
How are you? Thank you very much for inviting me here.
Thank you for coming in.
Very excited to be the part of this forum. And it's my first time, so a lot of learning also.
No, it's the other way around. We have to learn from all of you. I mean, you
Yeah,
are people in the field that are actually working on various elements. So we are just trying to figure out how we can create a more conducive ecosystem. So I'm going to start this discussion. All of us are here, so thank you to all of you for taking time off and such an important topic. We all know that in the very recent past there have been a lot of discussion on QCOs and all the quality standards that we are talking about, especially in the context of the tariff war and so many other things that is happening around in the world. One of the things that I have generally, understood is many MSMEs say primarily that they are willing to comply with BIS standards, but don't know where to begin. I'd like to go to Krishnaji. And Krishnaji, from your experience, what are the real on-ground challenges that MSMEs face in trying to understand what the standards mean, how to apply them to their products, and how to get started with certification?
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to thanks you and the team to provide me this opportunity. And this is my second time I am, speaking with you and the members of your association. So the question what you have asked is about QCO IS standard, and also how the MSME sector needs to comply, or how they would engage themselves into this important aspect of the compliance. So first and foremost thing, I would like to encourage that the MSME sector is very diverse and span across the country. So first and foremost thing which I would like to tell the members and the participant is that they should be keeping their eyes and ear open in terms of what is happening around, and what is this compliance is all about, and what is my role in this important aspect of the compliance. So first thing, government's intent is to drive the Make in India and self-reliant Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is the prime objective of the government of India, and of course the motive is to reach $5 trillion economy over a period of time. And obviously, to have this target achieved, they have to have the inclusive growth, and MSME in this uh, plays important role. Now, what is missing piece, or what is the important element, is that the MSME sector is do not having these skilled and trained manpower in terms of knowing the taxonomy and the compliances around it, because large scale industry as well as the MNC, they have the battalion of people and also the bandwidth and the resources to know about such compliances as and when they are being announced. So first and foremost thing, the association as well as the MSME authorities needs to engage with MSME sector on a regular basis in respect to create an awareness about what kind of QCOs are coming, which ministry is releasing the QCOs, and how to comply with this compliance in terms of the QCO and IS standard. There are a lot of opportunity of having this compliance. For example, there are certain products which are being imported in India without any standard from neighboring countries and various countries. Now obviously, the local body or the industries, what they have an opportunity is that they have to also keep an eye what kind of products which are coming without QCO in India. And can I meet the governmental authorities and agencies and check whether there is any IS standard, or can I engage into formulation of an IS standard and then subsequent issuance of the quality control order, so that there is a restriction, or there is a prohibition of the product being imported in the country without standards and the without QCOs. Now, having said that, it is on the both side, because from the government side, government wants to know that what kind of quality when the product comes into the country carries, and whether has anyone certified those products in terms of its consumption and usage by the trade at large, because MSP sector, plays into producing those products which are going to the consumers directly most of the time, not the larger component. They may be making those also. So this is one aspect I would encourage that MSME sector to check the government's website, newspapers, and also keep their active participation in such engaging dialogues, so that finally the knowledge is most important key factor to be successful in the trade. And obviously, as you raised the point of trade war between India and rest of the world, between US and China, etc., so this has also brought a lot of opportunities for the Indian manufacturing sector, and which is again a big topic. But some and substance is that you can work with the government agencies. Government is very open for new ideas as well as suggestions, etc. And obviously the licensing and other things are also very easy from the MSME perspective. They can approach to the local BIS officials. Also, there are a lot of offices, satellite offices across the country. And obviously, to understand what is the requirement, they should check what product they are into, what is the specification they have, what testing mechanisms they have, and whether they are at par internationally, etc., or whether they need any third party for evaluation of the products. Basically, there are few elements to it. So sum and substance, I would say, in short, considering the time, the engagement between the trade and the authorities and the MSME sector needs to be increased. And I am really, I would like to give the kudos to your forum as well to bring this important element for the discussion. So maybe I will take a pause over here, and maybe you can go to the next member for this discussion.
Excellent, excellent, sir. That was perfect. In fact, I'm going to bring in Ravi ji. I have a couple of very important questions for Amit ji. But before I bring in Amit ji, I wanted to bring in the perspective of an entrepreneur. So, Ravi ji has over 30 years of experience. He has built, I'd say, iconic brands, both online and offline. So he founded SDA Bokodi way back in 2009, then Wonder Chef, which is, supposed to be India's leading kitchen appliances brand. So, strong skills in entrepreneurship and has gone through the entire cycle of this. Raviji, what is your experience when it comes to, quality standards, and when it comes to attaining certification, and, this entire process? How easy or how difficult is it? And what are the impediments that you find, we still need to get over in order to create this Viksit Bharat that we keep on talking about, which needs to be there if we have to move to the next, step as far as
Sure.
our economy goes?
Sure. Thank you. So I'll highlight some very important points. First of all, why BIS has become a part of our life. About 4 or 5 years back, the government very smartly used or began using BIS as a non-tariff barrier against imports. BIS existed as a body for a long, long time. Even in our childhood, in 70s, 80s, we used to remember कि ये पंखा ISI marked है या ये pressure cooker ISI marked है. So that is how it used to be called, ISI mark. BIS is the body which gives the ISI mark. Now, ISI was required for certain kind of products in your home which can be life-threatening. For example, pressure cookers in those days explode कर जाते थे. If they are not following the quality standard, उसका valve सही नहीं है, ये 50-60s की बात होती थी. I am not that old, but सुना था कि explode कर जाते हैं. लेकिन तब ISI का मार्क इस पे जरूरी हो गया that if you are selling an aluminum pressure cooker, ISI का मार्क चाहिए. Irons, हर घर में आयरन होता है. If the cord is not proper, if there is a current leakage, आपको करंट लग सकता है. गीजर, आप नहा रहे हैं और चिपक गए क्योंकि करंट लीकेज हो गया. तो ये जो चीजें होती थी, पंखा है गिर ना जाए, इन चीजों पे ISI मार्क होता था. बहुत सी चीजों पे नहीं होता था. आप घर में मिक्सी यूज कर रहे हैं, दैट इज नॉट लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग. आपने 1-2 मिनट यूज करनी है, या बहुत से और अप्लायंसेस यूज करें, ISI नहीं होता था. तो ये 4-5 साल पहले क्यों हुआ ISI और किस तरीके से हुआ? लेट मी गिव अ पर्सपेक्टिव ऑन दैट, because a lot of MSMEs are confused about that also. Now, as you know that we have a negative trade balance against China, like every other country in the world. US ने तो तूफानी उठा लिया अब इस पे, but India also has a highly negative trade balance against China because Chinese are so good at manufacturing at low cost for various reasons that we can touch upon later. Now, in order to control that, there is a tariff barrier कि आप टैरिफ जो अभी ट्रम्प कर रहे हैं कि 20% टैरिफ से 50% कर दीजिए. बट WTO के आप सिग्नेटरी हैं, so that is not allowed. It is not considered nice, and India doesn't have the same wherewithal like US की सबसे लड़ाई कर लेंगे. So एक non-tariff barrier लगाया गया in the form of BIS. आपको BIS रेटिंग चाहिए हर चीज पे, और धीरे धीरे करके उसमें सारी चीजें आती जा रही हैं. And as of this April, almost 100% of the products that you import require a BIS certification. अब अगर वो चीज आपको BIS मार्क चाहिए तो आप क्या करोगे? आप BIS में पहले जो होता था, आप प्रोडक्ट लाओगे, मान लीजिए आप कोरिया से या चाइना से या थाईलैंड से इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, यू विल ब्रिंग इन द प्रोडक्ट, यू विल गिव इट टू ए लैब लाइक इंटरटेक और SGS, जो भी इंटरनेशनल लैब्स होती हैं, एंड दे आर BIS रिकॉग्नाइज्ड लैब्स, क्योंकि BIS की अपनी लैब्स बहुत कम है. ये इंटरनेशनल लैब्स होती हैं विच आर क्रेडिबल, जहाँ पे आप पैसा खिला के गलत काम नहीं करवा सकते. दैट इज द रिकॉग्नाइज्ड लैब, और उसकी सर्टिफिकेशन आप ले जाइए BIS में, और उसके बेसिस पे आपको सर्टिफिकेशन मिल जाता था. अब इसमें भी एक चक्कर डाल दिया गया. वो क्या कि नहीं, प्रोडक्ट नहीं, फैक्ट्री हैज टू बी सर्टिफाइड. ये एक बहुत बड़ा चेंज है, आप ये समझिए. फैक्ट्री हैज टू बी सर्टिफाइड. कई लोग बेचारे क्या करते हैं, मुझसे मिलते रहते हैं कि सर ये BIS लेना है, कैसे लें? हमने तो प्रोडक्ट दिया लैब में. लैब वाले भी नहीं बताते, आपने उनको पैसा दे दिया, एक प्रोडक्ट का 50,000, 1 लाख, 2 लाख रुपए दे दिया, दे आर हैप्पी टू गिव यू द सर्टिफिकेट, लेकिन आपको BIS सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं मिल रहा, और आपको कोई बता नहीं रहा क्यों. तो मैं आप सबको बता दूं कि अब जो BIS है वो इस तरीके का है दैट द इंजीनियर ऑफ BIS हैज टू गो टू योर फैक्ट्री इन चाइना और थाईलैंड. अब आप ये समझिए कि कितना मुश्किल काम है उनको लाइन पे लगाना कि साहब आप जाइए हमारी इस फैक्ट्री में. और दूसरी बात यह है कि चाइना, जहां से सबसे ज्यादा इंपोर्ट होता है, पिछले 3 साल में नो फैक्ट्री इन चाइना हैज बीन गिवन BIS. अब WTO में ये तो लिखा नहीं था, ये तो लूपहोल था कि आप BIS किसी फैक्ट्री को नहीं देंगे तो आप WTO को ऑनर नहीं कर रहे। सो किसी भी फैक्ट्री को नहीं दिया गया है, which means that MSMEs in India have a huge opportunity because brands like us and even the largest of brands like LG or Samsung today have to buy from India. They have to buy made in India. तो जो made in India की जो एक बात चली थी उसको गवर्नमेंट ने BIS के थ्रू कंट्रोल किया है और बहुत अच्छी तरह से कंट्रोल किया है। आई वुड रियली अप्रिशिएट द वे दिस वाज डन बिकॉज ये ट्रम्प की तरह नहीं है कि आंख बंद करके टैरिफ्स लगा दिए और उसके बाद हाथ जोड़ना पड़ रहा है कि अच्छा जी मैंने टैरिफ्स वापस ले लिए और चाइना से लड़े जा रहे हैं, मतलब बेसिकली लॉस ऑफ क्रेडिबिलिटी। इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत ही स्मार्टली किया, बहुत ही शार्पली किया। और मैं आपको अपना एग्जांपल दे दूं, एज वंडर शेफ आज से करीब 4-5 साल पहले 90% ऑफ आवर प्रोडक्ट्स वर कमिंग फ्रॉम इटली और जर्मनी और कोरिया और चाइना और वियतनाम। टुडे 100% of our products are being made in India. Then comes the other problem. अब इंडिया में आप कॉफी मशीन वंडर शेफ की बनाना चाहते हैं तो बनाएंगे कैसे? क्योंकि इंडिया में तो थर्मो पंप नहीं बनता, थर्मो ब्लॉक नहीं बनता, PCB नहीं बनता, TFT स्क्रीन नहीं बनता, सेमीकंडक्टर नहीं बनता, इसकी तो कोई फैक्ट्री नहीं है। सो आपको कंपोनेंट्स लाने पड़ेंगे बाहर से। दैट इज अनदर चैलेंज, क्योंकि अगर आप कंपोनेंट्स लाएंगे तो कस्टम में पकड़े जाएंगे कि अरे आप तो कंपोनेंट ये 2000 कंपोनेंट्स में ले आए, SKD ले आए, CKD ले आए, लेकिन ये सब मिलके तो एक ही प्रोडक्ट बन रही है। सो ये सबसे बड़ा गैप है। और इस प्रोग्राम के तहत, इस फोरम के तहत मैं ये बोलना चाहूँगा कि दिस हैज़ टू बी हाईलाइटेड कि भाई धीरे धीरे ही काम होगा। इंडियन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को बहुत सपोर्ट मिल रहा है। बहुत सी कंपनीज, बहुत सी फैक्ट्रीज जो 5 करोड़, 7 करोड़, 10 करोड़ का बिजनेस करती थी हमारे साथ, आज 50-50 करोड़ का बिजनेस कर रही हैं, क्योंकि हमने उन्हीं के थ्रू बनाना है। लेकिन भाई कंपोनेंट्स तो लाने दीजिए, वरना कस्टमर का भी नुकसान है, कंपनी का भी नुकसान है और मैन्युफैक्चरर का भी नुकसान है। क्योंकि अगर कंपोनेंट ही नहीं लाने देंगे आप तो असेंबली कैसे होगी? अब आप ये कहेंगे कि अगर कंपोनेंट सारे लाने देंगे तो इंडिया का ग्रोथ कैसे होगा? तो इंडिया का ग्रोथ ऐसे होगा कि आप जब पहले किसी चीज़ पे BIS लगाते हैं, जैसे मैंने कॉफ़ी मशीन का एग्जाम्पल लिया, तो पहले आप उसका SKD लाते हैं, उसके बाद आप दिमाग लगाते हैं कि अच्छा ये जो है ना, ये प्लास्टिक मोल्ड तो मैं इंडिया में बनवा सकता हूँ, इसकी टूलिंग तो बन जाएगी इंडिया में। अच्छा जो इसका ये जो कंपोनेंट्स हैं, ये वायर है, प्लग है, लीड है, ये तो इंडिया में बन जाएगा। धीरे धीरे इंडिजनाइजेशन प्रोसेस शुरू होता है, धीरे धीरे इंडिया में वैल्यू एडिशन शुरू होता है। और देखते देखते विद इन 4 years फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट्स 70 to 80% ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स आर मेड इन इंडिया। वहां पे रियल वैल्यू एडिशन हो रहा है। और उससे फायदा क्या होता है कि कंपोनेंट इकोसिस्टम बनता है। क्योंकि आज कोई अगर हमारे लिए एक फैक्ट्री डाल रहा है वायर्स, लीड्स या एक पर्टिकुलर टाइप का थर्मो ब्लॉक डालने की, पंप डालने की, कल को वो और 10 कंपनीज के भी कॉफी मशीन को सप्लाई कर सकता है। एंड दैट इज द सीक्रेट ऑफ सक्सेस ऑफ चाइना। लेकिन उसके लिए आपको एक इंक्लाइन पे जाना पड़ेगा। सीधे आप बोलने की 10 मंजिल की छलांग लगा लीजिए आप, तो कुछ नहीं होगा, कंपनीज बंद हो जाएंगी। और वो हुआ भी है, बिजनेस बंद हो चुके हैं। और स्टोरियों में आपको बताएंगे कि टॉयज के बिजनेस में क्या क्या चैलेंजेस आए थे। लेकिन आपको एक इंक्लाइन पे जाना है, एक सर्टेन एंगल पे जाना है कि आप धीरे धीरे अलाउ करिए विदाउट प्रेशर्स। क्योंकि जहां भी आपने डिफाइन नहीं किया वहां पे गलत धंधे शुरू हो जाते हैं, आपको फंसाया जाता है, आपसे 10 तरीके से पैसे ऐंठे जाते हैं। एंड दैट इज नॉट हेल्दी फॉर द कंट्री और फॉर द क्रेडिबिलिटी ऑफ द गवर्नेंस। एक और बड़ी बात है कि अगर आप किसी चीज पे BIS लगाते हैं तो उसके स्टैंडर्ड्स तो ढंग से डिफाइन करिए, क्योंकि आप सर्टिफाई कैसे करेंगे? अभी मैं कॉफी मशीन का एग्जांपल आगे लेके चलता हूं। देयर इज नॉट ए सिंगल फैक्ट्री इन इंडिया व्हिच मेक्स कॉफी मशीन्स। We created the market as Wondershare. We created the market for domestic coffee machines. Last year we have sold 75,000 coffee machines in India. कोई सोच नहीं सकता था कि डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में घर पे आप कोई आता है तो बोलेंगे अच्छा आप कैपुचिनो पियेंगे या लाते? ये पूछा जाता था आप ठंडा पियेंगे या चाय? लेकिन we have sold lakhs of coffee machines in last 3 years and now suddenly there is BIS, but उसके स्टैंडर्ड्स ही नहीं है। जब कोई फैक्ट्री ही नहीं थी तो BIS के इंजीनियर्स को भी नहीं पता कि उसके स्टैंडर्ड कैसे डिफाइन करने हैं। एंड सडनली दे आर टास्क्ड अपॉन टू सेट अप स्टैंडर्ड्स फॉर लैक्स ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स। हाउ डू यू डिफाइन दैट? व्हाट आर यू मेजरिंग? तो उसमें एक स्टैंडर्ड ये डिफाइन हुआ है कि इतने मिनट में कॉफी में उबाल आना चाहिए। अरे भाई कॉफी मशीन अलग अलग टाइप की होती है। एक बीन टू कप होती है, उसमें बीन भी ग्राइंड हो रही है, उसके बाद उसका एस्प्रेसो शॉट निकल रहा है, उसमें कैपुचिनो अपने आप बन रहा है, मिल्क फ्रॉथ होके आ रहा है। हर चीज का अपना स्टैंडर्ड है। सो फर्स्ट दैट इज व्हाई द जर्नी इज इंपॉर्टेंट। And I know that BIS is trying to involve the industry to define these standards. बट एज ए लीडिंग ब्रांड ऑफ किचनवेयर हमें तो आज तक कभी इन्विटेशन नहीं आया कि साहब आप ये नई चीज़ें जो कर रहे हैं इस पर हम BIS लगा रहे हैं, तो इस पे आप डिफाइन करिए. क्योंकि अनफॉर्चुनेटली ऑल दीज थिंग्स ऑल्सो वर्क विद लॉबिंग. जो लॉबी करके आगे पहुंच गया कि मैं अपने फायदे के लिए गवर्नमेंट से अपने हिसाब का स्टैंडर्ड करा लूं, वो जीत जाता है और दूसरों को ब्लॉक कर देता है. सो दीज डर्टी वॉरफेयर्स शुड नॉट बी अलाउड. द गवर्नमेंट मस्ट इनवाइट वेरियस प्लेयर्स, प्रोफेशनल प्लेयर्स, टू डिफाइन दी स्टैंडर्ड्स, टेस्टिंग के, उस जर्नी के कि इंडिजिनाइजेशन क्या क्या हो सकता है. अब सेमीकंडक्टर बनते ही नहीं इंडिया में. ये जर्नी 60-70s में शुरू हुई थी सिलिकॉन वैली में, विच इज़ वाई इट्स कॉल्ड द सिलिकॉन वैली. फिर जापान में, when companies like Fairchild and Intel went to Japan and set up semiconductor, फिर सिंगापुर में, फिर कोरिया में, फिर ताइवान में और अब चाइना में. 50 साल से ये जर्नी चल रही है. इंडिया वाज स्लीपिंग ऑन दैट जर्नी. अब ये गवर्नमेंट ने सेमीकंडक्टर पे आके खोली हैं एंड ए कपल ऑफ सेमीकंडक्टर प्लांट्स हैव बीन सेट जो उस साइज का सेमीकंडक्टर बनाएंगी जो 90s में बनता था, 28 नैनोमीटर. आजकल 3 नैनोमीटर 4 नैनोमीटर आ गया है. बट एटलीस्ट इट विल बी समथिंग. एटलीस्ट जो डोमेस्टिक अप्लायंसेज में सेमीकंडक्टर चाहिए वो अब इंडिया में हो सकता है कुछ सालों में बनने शुरू हो जाए. लेकिन जब तक वो नहीं बनते, रेजिस्टर्स नहीं बनते, कैपेसिटर्स नहीं बनते, बहुत से कंपोनेंट्स नहीं बनते, तो वो तब तक तो अलाउ करना पड़ेगा कंपोनेंट्स का एक फ्री फ्लो, जिससे कि इंडिया में असेंबली. अभी जैसे एप्पल के लिए वी आर ऑल वेरी प्राउड ऑफ कि इतने $1 बिलियन एप्पल हो गए, सारे कंपोनेंट्स बाहर से आ रहे हैं और असेंबली हो रही है. बट एटलीस्ट देयर इज अ वैल्यू एडिशन. एटलीस्ट thousands of people have been employed. I think we have to do that hard work. We have to do that journey. And my last point is that the component ecosystem can be built in India only with governmental support. क्योंकि ये जो बेसिक कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं, जो बैकवर्ड इंटीग्रेशन होता है, ये अपने आप नहीं हो जाता. किसी फैक्ट्री में दम नहीं होता. इवन टाटाज एंड रिलायंस हैव नॉट इन्वेस्टेड इन बेसिक कंपोनेंट इकोसिस्टम्स, क्योंकि आपको पता नहीं कि कौन खरीदेगा. देयर इज नो गारंटी. आज टैरिफ्स हैं चाइना पे 145%, कल को उनकी दोस्ती हो जाएगी, हाथ मिला लेंगे, वो 25% पे आ जाएगी. सो ये रिस्क प्राइवेट सेक्टर नहीं लेगा. जितनी भी मैंने सेमीकंडक्टर इकोसिस्टम का एग्जांपल दिया आपको, जापान, चाइना, कोरिया, ताइवान, फेमसली इट वाज सपोर्टेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. बहुत सारा सपोर्ट लगेगा तब ये कंपोनेंट इकोसिस्टम बनेगा. उसके ऊपर आप जैसे MSMEs, हम जैसे ब्रांड्स, उसके ऊपर ये थोड़ी थोड़ी अपनी ब्रांड्स और बिजनेसेस खड़े कर पाएंगे.
बिल्कुल सही है, बिल्कुल सही है. I mean, Ravi ji, we've got loads and loads of comments on what you have said. I'm trying to figure out what all is people are talking about this, and you have resonated very very well with a lot of the people that are actually talking about reacting to what you just said. So there's loads and loads of people who have reacted on this, but we'll come to that again. So I mean, a lot of resonance that we. I go over to
Thank you so
Amit
much.
ji. Amit ji, we talk about this huge flux that is there for the MSME, where he or she has found this huge potential in the online space. And so we figured out sometime back कि जो BIS के against जो certification या raids हुई and all that happened, it only happened on the online guys first. So all the people that had exposure through online mechanisms were the ones that got the brunt of the law in terms of your you don't have certification, yeah, there are issues, etc., yeah, right nahi hai, or various other things that came to fore. What is it that you feel Amazon is doing today to enable sellers, especially when it comes to standardization, certification, compliances, all of that? And because this is a huge opportunity for micro, small, medium enterprises, when we look at the online space and the way it's actually also transforming MSME business. If you look at, sorry, I have an update. There's 6,298 people right now on the web. So thank you for joining us again. Please, Amit ji.
So firstly, thank you for inviting me here, and really interesting experiences shared by Ravi ji. Very, very educational. I think the way we look at it is, and I'll divide it in two parts. I think जैसे रवि जी ने बोला कि we have to grow manufacturing in India, help MSMEs grow. I think that is the starting point for Amazon as well. We are committed to get and help every person who has an idea to succeed. Okay. And जो पहले आज से 20 साल 30 साल पहले का टाइम था या इवन 15 साल पहले जब इंडस्ट्री में कोई शुरू करना चाहता था, there were huge barriers to start any process. You needed lots of capital. आपको पता नहीं होता था किस क्वालिटी का प्रोडक्ट बनाना है, क्या प्रोडक्ट चल रहा है। आपने अगर पता करने के लिए बहुत रिसर्च में खर्च करना था। टुडे वी हैव सॉर्टेड ऑल ऑफ दैट by making sure customers and interested entrepreneurs can look at product ratings and reviews and come to know कौन सा प्रोडक्ट में कस्टमर्स को क्या अच्छा लग रहा है। सेकेंड, देयर यूज्ड टू बी ऑल ऑफ दिस इशू ऑफ सेइंग कि चलो मैंने प्रोडक्ट सोच भी लिया, तो अभी मेरे को प्रोडक्शन करना पड़ेगा बहुत बड़े लॉट में, उसके लिए पैसा कहाँ से आएगा, फिर उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना है, फिर उसको एडवर्टाइज करना है। इस सब चीज़ों को वी हैव सिंप्लीफाइड बाय रिड्यूसिंग द बैरियर्स for all the MSMEs. And in that way, we are first trying to reduce the biggest barrier, which is capital, and make it a level playing field. अब level playing field में there are also sometimes you can have ways and means by which sometimes bad actors can also come in. जैसे आपने बोला कि भी आप कैसे help कर रहे हो कैसे नहीं, तो I think our focus is always कि जो customer को चीज़ चाहिए, we should make sure that we are providing that information for all customers to make the right purchase with the right information. वो right information first हम दिखाते हैं अपने प्रोडक्ट डिटेल पेज पे, जिसको कहते हैं। उसमें आपको बाकी कस्टमर्स का फीडबैक भी मिलता है थ्रू रिव्यूज एंड रेटिंग। सो आप इफ़ यू आर अ बायर यू कैन सी एंड लुक एट इट, अच्छा दिस इज 4-star प्रोडक्ट, इसमें अच्छा प्रोडक्ट है, मुझे लेना चाहिए। नाउ वी आर ऑल्सो यूजिंग टेक्नोलॉजी टू मेक श्योर कि आप उसके रिव्यूज और रेटिंग्स को सिंपल करके बता पा रहे हैं एज ए समरी, सो दैट जब आपको प्रोडक्ट खरीदना है यू आर एबल टू मेक दैट परचेज इजीली। बट मान लीजिए कोई एक बैड एक्टर भी आता है, तो वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशंस टू प्रिवेंट दीज बैड एक्टर्स, बिकॉज द आइडिया इज टू मेक श्योर जो सही से डिवोटेड है, सही आइडिया है, उनको सक्सीड करने में सपोर्ट किया जाए। So अगर मान लो जो एक बैड एक्टर आता है, we have lots of, like we have a big team of around 1500 plus scientists who are using big AI technology breaks to really identify कहाँ पे there is somebody who's trying to pass off a wrong product as a genuine product. Okay, there are lots of signals. It is looked at return rate, उसमें concession, customer issues, supply rate. A lot of these data points which are there at the back end, which we are able to use, is then used to identify that these are actually fake products. And the moment we recognize a product as fake, we stop it from going to the customer. So that is the way we are supporting the sale of genuine products to the customer. Second, we have also started our own programs for this. So we have a product or program called brand registry. If you, as a brand owner, you want to make sure कि यार genuine लोग ही मेरा प्रोडक्ट बेच रहे हैं, तो एक ब्रांड के पास कैपेबिलिटी है कि वो उसमें सारे अपने जो आपके सप्लायर्स हैं, जो आपके डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स हैं, उनका नाम ऐड करे, so that only those people you know कि they are genuine product owners, they are selling a genuine product, उन्हीं को सेल करने का अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया जाए। थर्ड, कई ऐसे प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं जो कि हाई वैल्यू होते हैं, जैसे कि अभी रवि जी ने बात की, जैसे आजकल प्रोटीन सप्लीमेंट्स का लोग बहुत हेल्थ कॉन्शियस हैं, तो सब लोग चाह रहे हैं कि वी वांट टू हैव प्रोटीन सप्लीमेंट्स। अब ये प्रोडक्ट है 3000-4000 रुपये का, ठीक है, पाउडर टाइप का प्रोडक्ट है, नई चीज़ है, लोगों को पता नहीं है। इस टाइप के प्रोडक्ट्स में जो कि हाई वैल्यू है, जहाँ पे डुप्लीकेट्स का चांस है एक्सेट्रा, इंक्लूडिंग more expensive products, even like say mobiles, etc. We have a program called transparency. अब इस प्रोडक्ट में हर इंडिविजुअल यूनिट के ऊपर एक कोड होता है, एंड दैट कोड को अगर आप स्कैन करें तो यू कैन कम टू नो कि दिस इज अ जेन्युइन प्रोडक्ट, बिकॉज यू आर बाय स्कैनिंग दैट यू आर एबल टू नो एज अ कस्टमर कि ये प्रोडक्ट कब बना था, किस फैक्ट्री में, कहाँ, एंड ये जेन्युइन है नहीं। तो इस टाइप के अलग अलग चीज़ें जो हैं हम लोग यूज़ कर रहे हैं टू मेक श्योर that there are genuine products. इसके अलावा there are also training programs that we have and special programs for different class of entrepreneurs to help them succeed and know a little bit more about selling online. But majority में हमारा focus यही है कि genuine product जो कि actually में high quality से बना है वो customer के पास जाए it is not only limited to a certification, it is more than certification, because जो प्रोडक्ट रेटिंग है वो कस्टमर खुद यूज करके बता रहा है। तो कस्टमर 4 प्रोडक्ट यूज करके अपने एक्सपीरियंस से बता रहे हैं कि ये प्रोडक्ट अच्छा है। तो इसी हिसाब से कस्टमर रिव्यूज एंड रेटिंग्स आर एक्चुअली गोइंग one step beyond the minimum standards or what the government standards are on BIS, to make sure that genuine products are available, high quality products are made available। and बहुत सारी छोटी चीज़ें आपने अगर Amazon पे खरीदने की कोशिश की होगी तो you would see कई जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जिनका क्वालिटी खराब है उसमें एक लिखा आता है दिस प्रोडक्ट इज फ्रीक्वेंटली रिटर्न्ड। तो जो प्रोडक्ट्स ऐसे हैं जिनमें हमें डाउट है या जिनमें रिटर्न रेट ज़्यादा है कि कस्टमर्स को पसंद नहीं आ रहे या कोई डिफेक्ट है, उसमें हम पहले से ही कस्टमर को इन्फॉर्म कर देते हैं कि ये प्रोडक्ट आप मत खरीदें, या जिसका बहुत ही कम रिटर्न देता है उसमें हम ये भी लिखते हैं कि दिस प्रोडक्ट हाई क्वालिटी एंड हैज़ is not returned and is frequently kept। तो इस टाइप के मैसेजेस से द आइडिया इज टू हेल्प पीपल जो कि आप टच एंड फील नहीं कर रहे हैं, बट स्टिल टू हेल्प यू बाय अ जेन्युइन प्रोडक्ट, गोइंग बियॉन्ड BIS टू मेक श्योर कस्टमर इज टेकन केयर ऑफ एंड वी हैव गुड प्रोडक्ट्स फॉर देम। Thank you,
Excellent,
Vilanji.
Amitji. In fact, this entire um, initiative that we have launched, I think it is going to go very far, because I can look at the amount of questions people have when it comes to standards. There's so many people that are putting in all sorts of questions that even if we would try, I mean, even the people that are on the call, that 7,000 odd, 7,500 odd people, I mean, just imagine from there, I can see more than 300 questions. There's no way we can answer all of them. But thank you for, coming on board this initiative. I think we need to help them each one by one so that we can actually assist them into actually becoming compliant with the certification norms and the standards that are in place. I'm going to go over to Anil sir. Now, Anilji, whenever we are talking about MSMEs, we always say that MSMEs should follow quality guidelines. But जैसे कि रवि जी ने कहा, ये जो सर्टिफिकेशन हमारी प्रोसेस है, एक तो थोड़ी उसमें कई सारी खामियां हैं, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, एक्सपेंसिव तो है ही, टाइम कंज्यूमिंग तो है ही, कई जगह पे ऐसा भी है कि उसके स्टैंडर्ड्स ही नहीं है या उसका मापदंड ही नहीं है अभी तक। तो वो कई सारी चीजें हैं, तो हम लोग थोड़ा बहुत पीछे हैं इसमें। गवर्नमेंट की बड़ी अच्छी पहल है कि भाई सब कंप्लायंट हो, सब कुछ हो, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, बट कई सारे बॉटलनेक्स हैं और कुछ ऐसा चाहिए विच इज ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव, जहां से ये सारे जो बॉटलनेक्स हैं, स्पेशली उन कंपनीज के लिए जो माइक्रो साइज्ड हैं या स्मॉल हैं, जिनके पास लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज हैं, ताकि वो, कोई नहीं चाहता कि मैं गंदा प्रोडक्ट बेचूं या बुरा प्रोडक्ट बेचूं या अनसर्टिफाइड प्रोडक्ट बेचूं, बट बिकॉज उसको शायद हैंड होल्डिंग नहीं मिल रही या राइट मार्गदर्शन नहीं मिल रहा, उसकी वजह से मुझे लग रहा है कि पीपल आर making substandard products. Otherwise, I don't think anybody would want to put out a product which is not the best in the market. And the difference between making a great product and a mediocre product could be maybe 5% in terms of input value, not maybe more.
So okay, you haven't asked a question. आपने comment तो किया, question नहीं
No,
पूछा है.
I said that we would like your perspective.
No, okay, let me give my perspective. So, I speak from a position of having been an insider, having been in BIS for 26 years, having been part of discussions which have led to what is happening today in the country as part of a team in the Department of Commerce. So I can give you some insider perspective. But I think there are some fundamentals we need to be clear about, which get mixed up in India very badly. And I think first thing is awareness and education to all stakeholders, not only industry, even in government, and all stakeholders, to be clear about the fundamentals. The fundamentals are, number one, that globally, on grounds of health, safety, environment, deceptive trade practices, national security, on these grounds, let me say in inverted commas, standards can be imposed by law. First thing. So when it comes to food, there will be a law. When it comes to drugs, medicines, there will be a law, and standards are enforced by law. The fact is that India, although it was fashionable to say India is over-regulated. We have been hearing this for I think last 20, 30 years, ever since liberalization took place in 1991. The actual fact is that India was deficit in technical regulation. Technical regulation means this product regulation. Deficit to the extent that we were not even at 15% of what Europe is. I'm talking about 2017 when there was a meeting in which this came out. Medical devices were not regulated in India. Toys were not regulated in India. Chemicals were not regulated in India. Machinery safety was not regulated in India. Textiles were not regulated in India. There was sector after sector. Telecom was not regulated in India. There were sectors after sectors which were unregulated, which meant two things. A, anybody could dump any quality in the market because unless there is a law, I can produce anything and put anything in the market. This applies to imports also. So that was one, which meant that if I was a good industry fellow, I was under unfair competition from people who would merrily put substandard products in the market. Number two, the consumer was the bigger, loser because I am entitled to, as a common man, I am entitled to safe products. I am entitled to products which will not harm my health. That's my entitlement. So let us understand first thing that regulation is government's job, and our government did not do its job for many years until it was discovered that we are so far behind in technical regulation. Once it struck us, and this was I know the date on which this happened because I was there. Then the government decided, okay, we are deficit in technical regulation. We are a dumping ground for all kinds of products. We need to stop this, and therefore regulation is compulsory. Regulation is a must. So now you see regulations coming in one after another. Medical devices now under regulation. Regulations chemicals have come. Regulation of textiles has come. Toys have come under regulation. So many regulations since 2017. You will see that the starting point is somewhere in 2017. Now, let us leave food and drug out because regulators are different. Your program title is BIS, so let's come to BIS. Now, it so happens that regulation means you need a law in place. Now, for food, there is a dedicated law. For drugs and medical devices, there is a dedicated law. For all these sectors, there is no dedicated law. Fortunately for India, way back somebody thought that in the BIS Act, let us put in a provision for compulsory, for regulation. So there's one section in the Act, section 16 now, I think, in BIS Act, which allows the government to put regulations. So please remember that BIS itself is essentially a voluntary standards and voluntary certification body. Please remember this, because these distinctions are important because we don't understand these distinctions. Please remember that BIS is a voluntary standards and voluntary certification body. It has nearly 25,000 standards today. 25,000. How many are compulsory? 800 odd, which is nothing at all. So please remember that. Remember also that it is not BIS which has any power to enforce any of its standards. It is the government of India which has the power to enforce standards under BIS Act. So you find that the regulations or the quality control orders, as they are being called, QCOs, and let's stick to QCOs for the time being, because that is the one which is affecting the industry now. The QCOs are being issued by different ministries. You will see that either Ministry of Steel has issued on steel, Ministry of Information Technology has issued on electronics and IT products, DHI has issued now on machinery safety. So different ministries, the line ministries are issuing regulations. Those are regulations. So just there are about 800 odd standards which are compulsory today. Rest 25,000 are all voluntary. Only 825 standards are compulsory. There are nearly another 1,000 standards which are under voluntary certification, where if you want to get certification, you go and get certification if it adds value to your business. If it doesn't add value to business, forget it. But what is under law? Please remember, this is on grounds of health and safety. So first thing, there can be no grades. Whatever minimum is needed for safety will have to be there, whether you are a small unit, micro unit, or a large unit. So in a way, you can say these are minimum standards that are being set in the market, which are essential for health and safety. You have to comply with whatever you are. You may be micro, you may be large, but these cannot be done away with. So we have to be clear about this. Now, why the problem is being faced by the industry? there are 2-3 issues that I would like to highlight in such a short time. I don't want to take too much time. Number one, to my mind, it's only health and safety parameters which should be regulated and not quality, actually, ideally. Let me give you an example. In paints, if any of you is aware of the regulation, Ministry of Environment issued a draft regulation where it said all paint standards, BIS standards have to be complied with. Then I think wisdom prevailed. Somebody realized that all you need to regulate is lead content in paint. So later on, final regulation, when it came, it simply said the lead content shall not exceed 90 ppm. I think that's what it says. Just one line regulation was there. So one issue could be possibly that rather than regulate the entire product, we need to only regulate health and safety parameters. Second, I think some panelists said that you could show a report and get certified. Frankly, the BIS model was reverse. The first BIS model, the normal BIS model, is going to the factory, doing an inspection, drawing a sample, testing it independently, and then granting a certificate. Then going to the factory twice a year at least for a year-long certification, then renewing every year. This is a normal BIS model. When I joined BIS in 1980, I have done this, plenty of these inspections and certifications. The model of showing a test report, getting your sample tested, showing it to BIS and getting registration, what is called compulsory registration came only in 2012. Before that, it was not there. So second would be possibly there can be more models of what I call certification than imposing same model which is being imposed today on toys as well as cement. I mean, there's no classification of risk. You think cement is a very organized industry, can do with less stringent model, or toys is a very unorganized sector, so we have to be careful about the model that we use unless it puts you in trouble, because you can use different models of certification and you can make things difficult. So that is the second part. Third part, when a regulation comes, you need people who will verify compliance, whether it is food inspectors when it comes to food law, whether it is drug inspectors when it comes to drug law, whether it is BIS inspectors, engineers, whatever you call them, when it comes to those products which are regulated under BIS Act. Now, normally, BIS would make sure that it has sufficient manpower to do this. But where is the manpower to help industry implement these standards? Where is the structured way of preparing certified? Can I get certified professionals, certified consultants that yes, right now machinery regulation has come. I think somebody made a reference to machine. It's a 1 year time frame. December it was issued. Till next coming December it will be 1 year. I think its time is less. Frankly, that is another issue. That sometimes the time probably is less for transition than we industry really needs. Where are the people who is going to help me implement an international standard on machinery safety? If I'm a small person sitting in a tier 3 town and making machinery, small machinery, now I'm covered by regulation. Where is the technical manpower? Our entire ecosystem of skill which has been developed over last 10 years has merrily bypassed this part altogether. Not a single sector skill council has thought of implementation of standards as a job role to be defined and professionals to be prepared. To show me one place where I can find, if I'm a toy manufacturer, if I'm a cooker manufacturer, if I'm a machinery manufacturer, if I'm a chemical manufacturer, where are those people who will help me implement the standard? Where are those people? I think that manpower is missing. There are people in the market, but they are all by word of mouth. There's no structured way. I can go to an accredited inspection body, accredited certification body as per international standards, go to the website of NABCB and see who are accredited, and I can rely on their competence. Where is the structured system of certifying who are professionals who can help me implement standards? I think this is the biggest gap right now. MSMEs need two kinds of help. They need financial help. Sometimes the cost of compliance can be very high for a regulation. They have to change a lot of things. And second, they need technical help. Now, where is that technical help? To me, this is the biggest gap which we should be talking about. Where are the people who will help me implement standards, international standards or BIS standards in my factory when a regulation is coming in? Let's stop here for the time.
Excellent. You've raised some very, very valid and pertinent questions there. I'm going to go over to Shreya. Shreya, we have now discussed a cross section of things across the entire standards discussion. So, what do you feel, from a legal perspective? What are the primary legal risks that are and liabilities that are faced by MSMEs, especially when we talk about not complying with BIS standards, and how can we mitigate them in the current scenario? So that would be the first question. I have another question for you, but I'll come to that later.
Sure. So, I mean, given that we're nearly out of time, I'm going to try and keep this succinct. With respect to the risks that MSMEs generally face, if there is non-compliance with the central government orders or uh, with the conformity requirements, there are of course penalties that can be imposed, and that will apply across the board to anyone who's either manufacturing, importing, selling, storing, or even exhibiting any products for sale. And here, of course, the penalty is not just monetary, it could also have uh, consequences of imprisonment. So that is a general concern. And um, there is also a layered penalty system where if there's a first offense versus if there's a second offense. So there are graded penalty thresholds for how non-compliant you have been as a business. Of course, your license to manufacture can also be cancelled, or any other licenses you hold, if you are found to be in violation of the law in general, that can be cancelled. You will then also be required to recall certain product offerings that you have put out in the market if any of those offerings are non-conforming to specifically compulsory standards. um, and one known or unknown fact is that the relevant MSME can also be put under uh, strict surveillance to ensure, and I mean, generally to scrutinize how the operations take place. And the other major concern is, of course, PR issues, but also consumer complaints. So all of these can happen simultaneously. It is not always one or the other. So these are general risks and liabilities potentially that MSMEs could face. In relation to mitigating these risks, uh, it is very, very important if you're dealing with third parties, or if you're in a contract manufacturing arrangement, or you are a seller but not a manufacturer, where you don't have a very otherwise close relationship with the party concerned. It is crucial to enter into proper agreements with robust contractual clauses protecting you and your operations. So, very important to delineate the responsibilities that each of you are going to have with respect to the product in question, or if there's a raw material involved. I mean, there have to be certain representations, warranties undertaken by the relevant supplier. You should also ensure that you maintain comprehensive records of the legal documentation, that like once you have identified that a standard is applicable, it's important to document all that you're doing. Important to have robust quality check processes in place. I think many members of the panel have already gone over this, but all of this also goes on to demonstrate in some instances it may not genuinely be your liability. So having your own house is important. And it is also important from a good governance standpoint, right? So tomorrow, if something happens, if there's an investigation, all of these things will become critical, and you will rely on documentation to prove to what extent it was your responsibility and to what extent you have adhered to your obligations. And lastly, it is also critical to um, generally have I mean, one is of course clauses identifying responsibilities, but also have good indemnities in place, perhaps even insurance, uh, to protect yourself from potential liabilities. And it it is going to be useful if there is a way in the industry for people to be generally kept informed about any developments, any changes, whether that has to come from the authorities or whether, industry bodies take the lead on that. But having a repository of easy to understand and readily available information is generally useful, and preferably in a single place rather than multiple places. So to make yourself self-aware is going to be important. I hope I've
No, no,
addressed
you've
the
been precise in terms of
reasonably.
yes. I think we've understood what you meant. The crux of it is, if you are a micro, small, medium enterprise, it doesn't matter how small or how big, you need
Yeah.
to comply. There's no two ways about it. But there are lots of issues in between, which obviously we need to sort of mitigate through various mechanisms, as you explained. I'm going to go over to Suraj. Suraj, again, he's the co-founder at Studio. Suraj, what is your experience as a entrepreneur with a diverse domain that you've had, build this very passionately? What has been your experience with this, and what is the message that you'd like to give to other micro, small, medium entrepreneurs?
Okay, sure. So first of all, thanks for giving this opportunity to represent. So अभी issue क्या है कि I will keep it very short. So issue है कि जो there is gap in understanding the and enforcing the standards. So अभी जैसे एक example अगर मैं दे दूँ, so throughout a month or throughout a year we are catering to around 3 million plus families per year. So what is happening to achieve that? From last 4 years we are relying on 280 plus core manufacturers who are manufacturing the goods in India, so which are BIS compliant. So compliance is the most important thing for us as well. So we are not against it. But what is happening? So if I give you one example, like there was a scenario, एक सैंपल सीज हुआ था जो प्रीवियस रेड्स हुए थे अमेजोन वेयर हाउसेस पे. सो बीइंग अ डिजिटल फर्स्ट ब्रांड, हम लोग सबसे ज़्यादा एक्सपोज लोग हैं जो ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे अवेलेबल है. सो बेस्ड से मेड बी स्टैंडर्ड्स और क्वालिटी और सेफ्टी. सो हम लोग अगर कंप्लाइंस कर रहे हैं, नॉट ओनली वी बट ऑल ओवर कोर मैन्युफैक्चरर्स आर 100% कंप्लाइंट. बट इशू है कि जैसे कोई एक एग्जांपल सैंपल सीज होता है जो कि ऑलरेडी बीआईएस कंप्लाइंट है, जिसके ऑल टेस्ट रिपोर्ट्स, सेफ्टी स्टैंडर्ड्स, एवरीथिंग इज इन प्लेस, वी हैव ऑल द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. बट होता यह है कि वो प्रोडक्ट सीज होने के बाद, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल अमेजोन की ही अगर बात करूं या कोई भी ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म, वो प्रोडक्ट होल्ड पे जाता है. अभी उससे इशू क्या है कि जो भी मैं हूँ या मेरे जो कोर मैन्युफैक्चरर्स है, सो जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट है या हम लोग जिसकी बात करते हैं अंडर एमएसएमई गोल्स, वो सब चीज़ें स्टेक पे लग जाती है. जैसे इन्वेंटरी होल्ड पे जाती है या आपका कैपिटल ब्लॉक हो जाता है. तो इनके वजह से जो इश्यूज आते हैं, वो उसके वजह से सब कुछ इम्पैक्ट हो जाता है जो हम लोग इकोसिस्टम बनाने का ट्राई कर रहे हैं थ्रू आउट लास्ट 4 years, जब से बीआईएस ज़्यादा स्ट्रिंजेंट हुआ था टॉयज़ के रिलेटेड भी. सो ये जो इश्यूज है हम लोग टैकल करने के लिए ट्राई कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जो एनफोर्समेंट एजेंसीज है उन्होंने सपोर्ट करना चाहिए, ना कि इसको रेस्ट्रिक्ट करना चाहिए. सो बेसिकली दिस इज द मैसेज आई वांट टू पास ऑन.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. I mean, I think you've been very, very clear about what is it that we need to do as a country. What is it that we need to do, as micro, small, medium enterprises. I have somebody who is actually helping MSMEs comply. So I'm going to go over to Vishal. Vishal, you've heard everybody, and you are in the thick of it. You are day in and day out doing compliance, helping MSMEs do all of that. So what is it that you feel MSMEs need to do? And also, on the other side, what are the shortcomings that are there in the entire ecosystem today, which is not allowing MSMEs to do what they should do?
So, as the time is near, so I will be very quick in this. I have heard everyone. So, a lot of things which I've got from the industry from Mr. Vistock and Anil Johri ji has put some points which are very relevant. तो कुछ जो problems हैं which I feel are there in the MSME sector is that first is the skill set or the skilled labor, I will say. Standards implement करने के लिए बहुत सारी दिक्कतें आती हैं इनको. दिक्कतें कैसे आती हैं? अपने पास आप देखेंगे जो छोटे एमएसएमईज होते हैं उनके पास जनरली क्वालिटी के लोग नहीं होते। सेकेंडली, क्वालिटी के लोग ना होने की वजह से स्टैंडर्ड्स का जो फॉर्मुलेशन है या अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो होना बहुत टफ हो जाता है। इस केस में दे नीड अ एक्सटर्नल एजेंसी हु कैन हेल्प देम आउट विद द थिंग्स। प्लस आप और ज्यादा एमएसएमईज में देखेंगे जो कि प्रॉब्लम आती है वो होती है कि स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन ऑफ द प्रोसेसेस वो नहीं होते। वहां पे एक अपना तरीका चल रहा होता है जो कि फिर हमारे प्रोसेस के हिसाब से बन नहीं पाता है। तो वहां पे एक हैंड होल्डिंग उनको चाहिए होती है। हैंड होल्डिंग के लिए देर आर मैनी फ्रीलांसर्स आउट देयर विच आर वर्किंग। मिस सेलिंग बहुत ज्यादा होती है एमएसएमईज में, जो कि बहुत बड़ा एक प्रॉब्लम है इस सेक्टर का, जिसको केटर करना बहुत जरूरी है। अनिल सर की बात मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगी कि आर देयर एनी सर्टिफाइड एजेंसीज विच आर हेल्पिंग देम आउट, बट देयर आर नन एज ऑफ नाउ। ग्लोबली अगर आप देखेंगे, ग्लोबली देयर इज अ प्रैक्टिस, देयर आर सीबीज जिसको अपॉइंट किया जाता है विच हेल्प द कस्टमर्स टू गेट देयर प्रोडक्ट सर्टिफाइड। इंडिया में भी कुछ इस तरीके से होना चाहिए कि कुछ सर्टिफाइड एजेंसीज हो। ऐसे आप देखेंगे किसी भी आप फील्ड में देखते हैं, बी इट फाइनेंस, बी इट लीगल, बी इट एनीवेयर, you will find that most of these no the compliances have some kind of agencies as a certified agency. यहाँ पे ये बहुत बड़ी एक कमी है जो कि बट आई फील इज अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम। सेकंड कम्स द कॉस्ट। कॉस्ट में क्या होता है, व्हेन यू आर गोइंग फॉर द सर्टिफिकेशन एज एस एमएसएमई, दो देयर आर lot of I'll say relaxation or subsidies are given for the marking fees and all that, but testing is a very big cost. अभी टेलीकॉम के स्पेस में आप देखें, इफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर अ स्मॉल आईओटी गेटवे की टेस्टिंग के लिए, द कॉस्टिंग इज गोइंग मोर देन बियॉन्ड द 8 लाख रुपीज। सो करंटली इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अभी इतना ज्यादा डेवलप नहीं है इंडिया में टेस्टिंग के स्पेस में, तो इट इज हाई कॉस्ट। इवन सेफ्टी की कॉस्टिंग आप देखें तो दैट फॉर एमएसएमई इट इज टू हाई। So that is also one major part. Apart from MSME, in order to maintain the license throughout the year of BIS, again, it's a troublesome job for some MSMEs. And they pay good amount of money to the freelancers or the companies to get this out. साथ साथ में what we have seen in this industry और MSMEs के साथ वो ये है कि those MSME which get certified by BIS, okay, most of the surveillance and everything happens with them. So recently I have seen one cluster where the hard door fitting equipments used to make, वो बनते हैं वहां पे। तो वहां पे कुछ MSM और कुछ कंपनीज हैं जिन्होंने सर्टिफिकेशन लिया, and there are many companies which have not taken it. तो जो कंप्लायंस का बर्डन है वो उनके ऊपर आ जाता है, बिकॉज दे हैव अ सर्वेलेंस 2 times in a year by BIS, जो BIS इसको करता है, बट देर आर मैनी कंपनीज विच आर नॉट डूइंग इट। सो उस पे भी हमें एज अ रेगुलेटर BIS को या रेगुलेटरी एजेंसीज को देखना पड़ेगा कि जो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन उन्होंने लेकर आए हैं वो सब जगह इक्वल मैनर में हो। प्लस MSME के लिए ये बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी है इस टाइम पे, एज रवि सर ने बताया भी कि इट्स अ वेरी बिग नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर विच द गवर्नमेंट इज यूटिलाइजिंग वेरी एफिशिएंटली। मैंने इस इंडस्ट्री को 2012 से देखा है, काफी लंबे समय तक मैं इसको देखता आया, तो मैंने रियलाइज किया 2018 के बाद से जिस तरीके से गवर्नमेंट ने नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर को यूज किया है, इट गिव अ वेरी बिग बूस्ट टू द लोकल MSMEs. I have seen many big companies who are placing their orders to the MSMEs and helping them in creating in technology innovations also. So कई कंपनीज यहाँ पे R&D में भी इन्वॉल्व कर रही हैं। तो MSMEs को दो जगह पे पढ़ना पड़ेगा। एक तो उनको ये नहीं सोचना है कि compliance is a burden, so they have to bear it somehow, some way. There has to be a support from the government side. There must be, in order to have that ecosystem, but it has to be in the mind of MSME कि वो उनको करना बहुत जरूरी है, especially for the global trade. As you can see, the government का जो हमारा जो vision है, what government is thinking is majorly on the exports. So if we, और हमारे जो Indian standards हैं, they are mostly or very much harmonized with the international standards as well, most of them. And as the exports are growing, they will be getting more harmonized with the international standards. So once you are certified, let's say with the Indian standard, it will become far easy for you as a MSME to have the certification for the global market. तो ये कुछ पॉइंट्स हैं जिस पे मुझे लगता है कि एमएसएमई को काम करना चाहिए। उनकी कई प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं जो कि बीआईएस काफी अच्छे से एड्रेस करता है, बट देयर आर स्टिल प्रॉब्लम्स। तो इसके लिए हमारी कंपनी जैसे है ईकॉम, बट वी क्रिएट अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम्स इन एवरी क्लस्टर। So we go there, we create an awareness program, we invite the MSME industry into it, we put lot of stakeholders in there। हम इंडस्ट्री को वहाँ बुलाते हैं, हम रेगुलेटर्स को वहाँ बुलाते हैं, हम पॉलिसी मेकर्स को वहाँ बुलाते हैं, and we give the audience to them, and we give the audience to MSME also, so that they can put their questions in front of them। एक मेजर कॉस्ट जो टेस्टिंग की है उसके लिए
please
Sorry?
continue.
सो एक जो मेजर कॉस्ट है यहाँ पे वो एमएसएमईज के लिए वो होती है टेस्टिंग ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट। बीआईएस में एक बहुत अच्छा चीज हुआ है कि उन्होंने इन हाउस टेस्ट लैब को स्मॉल और मीडियम और स्मॉल एंटरप्राइज और माइक्रो एंटरप्राइज के लिए मना कर दिया है। वो जरूरी नहीं है आपको फुल सेटअप बनाना, उन्होंने अलाउ किया है। जैसे हम एक क्लस्टर में हैं, क्लस्टर में वी पुट अ सिंगल लैब, एंड इन सिंगल लैब एवरी एमएसएमई कैन गो एंड गेट द टेस्टिंग डन। So that will be far cheaper and far efficient for any MSME. So that is also given up. ऐसे गवर्नमेंट कई इनिशिएटिव्स लेकर आती है। इफ ऑल्सो देर इज अ डिपार्टमेंट DPIIT जो कि बहुत रेलिवेंट डिपार्टमेंट है, एंड इफ वी गो विद इफ अ वैलिड एजेंडा और कुछ हम MSME हमारा कुछ पार्ट लेके वहां जाता है तो वो वहां पे भी उनको काफी सपोर्ट करता है फाइनेंशियली एज वेल एज इन द नॉन टेरिटरी सेक्टर। तो ये कुछ पॉइंट्स हैं जो मुझे लगते हैं काफी कि एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए बूस्टअप हो सकते हैं, या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं या उनके जो इश्यूज हैं वो इस तरीके से एड्रेस हुए हैं।
Thank you very much, Vishal ji. I'm going to go over for a round of closing comments from everybody, and I'm going to start with Amit ji.
Amit ji, that will be my side.
Yeah. Sorry, Amit ji. So what I was coming to was, eventually all of us are talking about creating an ecosystem where we are able to create brand protection, we are able to protect our investments and boost consumer trust. You see, that is all what everybody is vying for, especially with so many challenges that we have in terms of counterfeiting and all the other things. What is going to be Amazon's approach in the future? And what is it that you are going to reinforce that customer trust while getting sellers to be educated and, also compliant at the same time?
So I think I had talked about this briefly in my previous response also. So customer trust is paramount for all our, and is the center of what helps us make all decisions. What we want to make sure is counterfeit products are clearly not allowed to sell on the marketplace. So a lot of tech interventions that we are doing is primarily geared to find ways by which counterfeit products are identified early. We stop them from going to the customers, and in case and however early detection systems we can do, we can sort of put them in. One of the things which has and just to give you a context in terms of the scale at which it is already working, it's not something new we are doing. We have been doing it very regularly in the US for multiple years. So last year itself, we actually identified 15 million products globally in our supply chain, and we sort of stopped them from going to the customers and not allowing them to re-enter. All the programs that I talked of, brand registry, transparency, are in that line. And we actually invested over $1 billion in the year to really make sure that we are able to find ways to identify spurious products and prevent them from going to customers and harming. So that's where our efforts are. And I think we look at technology as a solution for everything. We have the good fortune of having multiple data signals which we are able to use from different sources to be able to identify things which can be harmful for customers. And obviously we are there to work along with the government and the stakeholders and our sellers. But the most important constituent in all of this is the customer. We don't want to lose customer trust as a marketplace. So we are here to figure out how do we make sure we enable motivated sellers to sell the right kind of products with the right quality, right certification. So that's what we are trying to do.
Thank you very much, Amitji. I'm going to go over now to Jory sir. Anil sir, your closing remarks, sir.
I think more and more awareness creation, more and more education to the industry first. MSMEs do not even understand what is facing them. The difference between regulation and standards, regulation and certification. Uh, I mean, I think there's a whole lot of ignorance about. I mean, when you say compliance, it means legal compliance. What is legally required? Legal compliance is about 800 odd BIS standards. If we come to BIS, the QCOs. Um, the problem with QCOs is, to me, three issues which QCOs. Maybe the process is cumbersome, it can be simplified. Maybe we can only focus on health and safety parameters. And of course, again, I would repeat, where is the manpower to help industry implement these standards?
Excellent,
Unless
sir.
we tackle that issue, how is industry going to implement these standards?
Very, very valid question, sir. I'm going to go over to Krishnaji. Krishnaji, you are on mute.
Muted.
So, sorry. I second to the views shared by Anilji and Amitji. Now, one more thing is that government probably need to have some better machinery in terms of implementation and education of these requirements. And unfortunately, today in whatever curriculum activities what we have, there nothing is talked about these kind of requirements, unfortunately. And that is also one vacuum in our in the curriculum itself, because like you take another example of export trade control, it is not spoken in any of the platform of curriculum. So is the case of BIS. And probably there is a need to include these kind of requirements in the curriculum itself, because when someone is doing CA or any other kind of educational requirements, so obviously when even maybe training, coaching and mentoring, these are the three things probably, and I will close it over there itself. It's a very interesting and also big topic to speak about. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to go over to Vishalji.
So I would like just to conclude it that though compliance is not a big thing, it's not कि ये बहुत मुश्किल है, नहीं हो पाएगा. थोड़ा सा ready होना चाहिए, mindset open होना चाहिए अपना खोलने के लिए. We should be ready for it. Though there will be some investment into it, but it will definitely give some better results for us. And वो हमारे देश की growth के लिए भी बहुत अच्छा है. And if we are oriented, we can even eye the export market as well as MSME. So that will be from my side on this.
Excellent. So I'm going to go back to Shreya before I give the last comment to Raviji today.
So, to be honest, mostly, the panel has covered everything already in terms of what to look out for. But if I were to add something, uh, basically having proper SOPs in place, including with respect to, whenever uh, there is a concern around non-conformity, if an issue has been raised, if an inquiry has been initiated, what should the response protocol be, how should one cooperate, all of these can be documented into a standard response kit as well, so that it's not just about understanding the compliance, because see, investigations can take place even if you are compliant, but how to navigate that process in itself is going to be another crucial aspect.
Excellent. Thank you, Shreya. So Raviji, back to you. You are in high demand today. If you look at the number of responses we've got, and this is the first time I think we've crossed 10,000 viewers, and I think people have been drawn in by your comments in terms of your experiences. So please give us your closing comments for the day today. You've heard everybody as an entrepreneur that has been at the right in the thick and thin of it. Please give us your comments on before we close the webinar today.
Thank you so much. You have been very kind, and thank you all the panelists and all the viewers, over 10,000 attendees, for being so kind to all of us and being patient. I think a lot of very interesting observations have been shared on this forum. So I will not go into any specific topic right now. I'll just say that the government, especially post liberalization, has facilitated many, many things. Unfortunately, at times the implementation becomes coercive. The heart is in the right place. Sometimes the hand makes mistakes. One of my first big jobs in my career, Vinodji, you started from Bocconi, the business school that I created. But I would like to share my first big success was in a very close association with the government. I built the business of Sodexo in India. And who doesn't know today Sodexo meal vouchers, meal coupons, gift vouchers, food service, and everything. I was the first employee in India. I got the company from France to India in 1994. And over the next 13 years, I built that company step by step. And that was with the support of the government. We managed to explain to the government that how a thriving culture of proper meals, and when you cannot have a canteen to give these vouchers which people can use for food, will strengthen the working class, especially our growing IT and BPO services. And I think today, when I see Sodexo employing more than 1 lakh people in India as their own employees, I feel very proud. So, the government, nothing can be done without government support. And the same is the case with BIS. If we upgrade our standards, it is for the benefit of the country. If we keep selling cheap products under the protection of export or import ban, then it's a race to the bottom and we will never be able to export in the competitive global markets. My only request at large is that BIS should be a facilitating body, not a coercive body. And I heard loud and clear when Anilji was speaking about his rich experience with BIS. And there are nice people behind. But sometimes, as I said, as a body, especially for small MSMEs, it becomes scary and coercive. I think that image has to be changed. And I think this is a body, this is a government department or an extension of the government which is working so closely and impacting the lives of millions of entrepreneurs and customers. I think they have to have a human face. I'll just pick up one last thing from what our friend from Amazon said, Amit Nanda, that technology is the answer to everything. And today, when we see UPI and other amazing things that the government bodies have been able to do, I think BIS also can afford to be more technologically oriented so that a whole lot of digitization takes place even in the application process. You are able to see transparently where your application is, what is where the shoe is biting, why are you not being able to do it. And I think if somebody sets their mind to it today, there is enough talent available in the government, resources are available that this can happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Raviji. It was such a pleasure having all of you here. I think it's just the start of a discussion. There's lots more to do. There's lots more to look at. There's lots more to discuss and to bring to the notice of the government. We will stay on this topic. We will try and ensure that every member, every MSME that approaches us for support is given support, as we have continued to in the past, but specifically now for compliance, for quality, for standards, and for helping you certify your products, your services, your businesses. With that, a heartfelt thank you to all the speakers today, all the panelists. I think you've given us a perfect understanding of the entire ecosystem around quality. And I don't think anybody of us will shy away from the fact that we need to comply if we are to grow our businesses and grow as an economy. With that, thank you very much to all of you for being here. We are extremely, extremely thankful. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.